The Chinese can't win. It's an impossibility unless we destroy ourselves, which kind of is what was going on until the Trumpster came along and said, no, we're going to put an end to this self-destruction. So I just want to share with you something here. All right, so we're going to go back. You remember the Thailand building that fell? You remember that? You remember the Thailand building? You might not have because, you're not as smart as your old buddy Josh. On March 28, 2025, a 30-story high-rise building under construction in Bangkok, intended to be the headquarters of the new Thailand State Audit Office, collapsed to a 7.7 magnitude earthquake. Right here. Let's see. Check this out. The building was a joint venture between China Railway Number 10 Engineering Group and the Italian Thai Development PLC. Investigations point to multiple issues. Substandard steel rods from Jingke Steel, produced using the low-cost induction furnace method, were found to fail safety standards. The authorities have arrested a Chinese executive identified as Zhang, whatever that guy is, Shuangling, and are probing 4 board members of China Railway Number 10. The collapse has sparked public outrage, scrutiny of Chinese construction practices, and questions about Thailand's building regulation. All right, so let's take a look at Chinese steel versus American steel. You okay, puppy? By the way, if you're wondering what that noise is, well, a dog, but my wife is vacuuming, so that's what you want to hear. A woman in the kitchen vacuuming, right? That's what we want to hear. Penelope right now is, how dare you, Josh? How dare you? You want to go outside and see Mom vacuuming? I don't think so. Watch, Papa's going to go outside. We'll be right back. China produces over 1 billion metric tons annually of steel that is. Roughly half of global steel output. U.S. produces 80 to 90 million metric tons yearly, which is 4 to 5% of global steel. China's steel its quality varies widely. High-end steel meets global standards, but low-grade steel often has inconsistent quality, higher impurities, or weaker tensile strength. Historically criticized for overproduction, I'm going to go into this a little bit more detail here in just a second, of cheap substandard steel. American steel, though, is generally high quality with stricter standards, known for advanced alloys and specialty steel in aerospace, defense, and construction, less prone to defects. All right. Chinese steel is significantly cheaper than the United States. I wonder why, because their steel sucks donkey balls compared to ours. American steel is more expensive due to higher labor costs, environmental regulations, and smaller production scale. All right, so anyway, why am I pointing this out? I'm going to show you an article that my father-in-law, who I'd never met, he used to be a translator, a Russian. He taught Chinese at Western Kentucky University, where he met my wife's mom. She also spoke Chinese. She was a student of his. How dare he? But anyway, and he spoke literally, he's a fluent Chinese guy. Cantonese or Mandarin or maybe both. I don't know. But anyway, he also spoke Russian. And so he would translate these DOD documents. This is from Russian journals about their military. I want to share with you something. This is crazy. So this is the Soviet Northern Fleet number 7 in page 39 439. I'm not sure what page, but check this out. China produces substandard steel. Check this. Here goes Pablo back. An example of the growth and expanding missions of the Soviet Navy is provided by the maneuver and cruise activities of the Northern Fleet. And we got a map there, which I'm not going to show you, but check this out. In the Northern Fleet, its expansion, its current composition, its activities and development tendencies, one can recognize the maritime ambitions of the USSR. This is the Soviet Union's own documentation that my father-in-law got and was able to translate on behalf of the DOD to English. All right. Measured against the earlier quoted U.S. evaluation from the end of the Second World War, an amazing amount has been achieved. The newly constructed ships appearing on the oceans of the world boast a large number of onboard weapons and technologies and electronics. So much so that the remaining onboard area for the crew is sparse. So they're putting all their onboard weapons and electronics. In regard to the technology, and compared to the Western construction, the USSR does not have a lead. All right. Why? Or I should say the Western construction does not have a lead. All right. In comparison to Western construction, it does not have the lead in warship construction. The USSR was building many more ships than we were. But their construction, ours, the good guys against the commies, their construction and shipbuilders do deliver practical, modern ships and weapon systems. The proliferation of types, some classes of warships change class every year, as a result of deficiencies which, because of the hectic pace of construction, become apparently only after getting into service. This is unfavorable for command and supply. The commies were building more warships by far faster than we were. But they were flooding them with weapons and weapons and electronics, but it made the remaining onboard area for the crew sparse. But their deficiencies, which because of the hectic pace of construction, become apparently only after going into service. This is what happens with communism, why communism can never win. They're put on a quota. Make the quota, make the quota. It's not about quality, it's about quantity. They can't keep up. And at some point, people are going to say, I'm not using Chinese steel to build a freaking building because the building could collapse. You see, it's about quality is suffering. They just said, we don't care about quality. Quantity is number one. And then what happens? Well, then we smoke them, man. And the same thing with China's shipbuilding. It scares me how much more Chinese is building ships than we are. But are there ships of good quality? I don't know. We still need to put tariffs on these guys, absolutely, because they're crushed. We're crushing, dude. The tariffs we're winning. It's actually interesting. So here's a Bible, by the way, in Russian. I think my wife said that's Russian. Bible. This is a banned contraband in the Soviet Union. And Russia used to be such an Orthodox Christian country. That's how bad the communists were. Then he was reading something about, I don't even know what this is in French. Missile quoted as Vesperal. I don't know what that is. That's French. Yeah, so something about Jesus. I told you before that my father-in-law was in the same school. In fact, one of his yearbooks we got upstairs, he was in his graduating yearbook there's a young man as a sophomore, and I think Xavier or St. Fran, I can't remember what it was, but it was high school in the Bronx. That was Justice Scalia. He was in the same school as my father-in-law, which is crazy because he was literally not an orphan, but he was raised in a orphanage. His mom didn't have the money to raise him. His literally drunken Irishman left him and my dad, my father-in-law, and his brother, and the mom didn't have the money to raise him, so she gave him to an orphanage where my father-in-law's brother peed his bed, and the nuns kicked him in his ribs, broke his ribs as punishment for his younger brother peeing in the bed. It's crazy. Anyway, this is what happens to commies, dude. Oh, check this out. You want to see something else that's even crazier? Check this out. Now, this is the commies. You can see right there. That's all the square root, the math that they're all doing on this stuff. I mean, my father-in-law was translating. Look at this. Crazy. Some kind of compass protractor thing. I have no idea what any of this says because I don't speak Russian because I like women. But still, it's crazy. And this is like the translations right there. And you just think like how many Russian, because one of these are about how to land a plane on an aircraft carrier. And you can see that, well, you can't see it, but they have like, right here. The growth of aviators' combat skills and the safety of the flight duty depend on the level of objectivity of evaluations of their actions in flight. This is objective control by Colonel P. Peshkiny or something like that. Anyway, it's crazy because you're like sitting there thinking, how many people, Soviet air guys, died because they didn't have good. They just had to throw quotas out there. That's just crazy, man. Human beings sacrificed for the greater good, and yet the greater good was never achieved because communism can never win. Anyway, look, we just got to right the ship. They let Trump win to right the ship to some regard. He's doing good. We just got to keep at it, man. Keep our freaking foot on their necks. Don't say, oh, man, Trump's losing popularity. No, he's not. Rasmussen just posted 51% approval rating for the Trumpster. But Rasmussen, they're right wing. Okay, well, either way, they got the election right. All these other clowns got it wrong. So Trump is crushing. Keep on crushing, Trumpster. Suspend habeas corpus, just like Lincoln did, huh? God bless.